welcome. Today, Lauren and Christine and I are going to be talking about Sun transits 45 and 12. And during the discussion, we're going to be exploring around and see what we can learn and what we think we might be able to play with over the next two periods of 5.5 days. We want to start just taking a little bit of look over the last two Sun transits, sort of what's been showing up for us now. Lauren, you want to start us off?
Oh, sure. Let me tell you about it. We're talking about 10 days, and we are still in the midst as we're recording this of the gate of change. And I think the thing that has come up for me the most, and I am vocalizing it, is this impatience and impatience with others, like get on with it. Can't you just move and change? Whoops, there's that word. And do the thing. Why are you so stuck? And maybe feeling a little bit stuck myself in things I know I should be doing and don't particularly want to do. But so maybe that talk like is internal as well. How about you, Christy?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean the hexagram name of Gates 35 is progress, right? And for sure, I definitely felt this lack of progress in the people in the world. And now as we're talking here, I'm like, oh yeah, actually, Christine, it was your own lack of progress that you were just projecting out into the world. Because I definitely feel a lot of that myself. I've got like 85 plates
Yeah.
spinning and I want to consolidate them all down to one plate and I don't know how to do it. And I'm like, well, I'll just keep them spinning then. Right? So it's like, I don't really like that. But yes, for sure, I saw it, show up for me as a frustration and impatience with others and they're not progressing, right? Like I was like, I just don't want to have this conversation again. But really, I didn't want to have the conversation again with myself. So
It is interesting, just a little bit different as I was describing this period of time as feeling really topsy-turvy and
mm,
things not going the way they were anticipated. And then the other thing that's come up is that it's been a series of times where there's like been very simple directions about something that needs to happen or a process. And it's like everybody is like they didn't listen, they didn't hear, like was I speaking another language?
yeah.
So yeah, that is frustrating.
Lois, I don't know how many times I've said, is anyone listening to me? But I'm wondering too, we know when we start putting that outwards, it's really our internal talk. And Christine, on your point, I think my frustration is coming from the knowing I need to do certain things, but really not knowing how to get in there and do it. And it doesn't seem that difficult. Like they're not giant things, but just not knowing like how do I get in there and just get that thing done?
Yeah, yeah. And also for me, like not knowing where to place the focus, right? Like I'm pretty sure I could do any of the things, but I'm not sure which change to make, I guess, if you're looking at the gate of change, right? Like there's a bunch of changes I want to make, but it's not clear to me which one or which multiple ones.
I just had to go back and was looking at my notes when we met with Anastasia and this period of Gemini. One of the things I wrote was bursts of mental clarity and then frustration. And that
Nailed
that's
it.
there, right? Like, oh yeah, that thing. Oh, wait, how am I going to do that again?
Yeah.
It all seems so obvious before.
I know. And it's funny how I take these notes during those conversations and it really are those lines are exactly what stay with me during that period. Like I can go back and go, yeah, exactly that. Um, yeah, yeah, but I think we're due a change because we're moving into the next part of Gemini on the 8th of June, which starts this gate as well. So
Hmm.
maybe Christine, that'll lead you right into gate 45.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so gate 35 is right next to gate 45 in the throat, right? We've been in this long section of throat gates in the Gemini season. And so gate 45, I think I may have mentioned it at one point somewhere, but gate 45 is the only throat gate that's a tribal energy, right? And so I think about this next few days, and the name of it is the Gatherer, or the I Ching is gathering together. And so I think about this gate in large part about like how it sits in our body graph. It's in the throat, but it's the very last gate of the tribal ego circuit, essentially. So it's taking all of this tribal energy that we have, this energy to support and to feel supported in return, and it's trying to make it manifest, right? This is the gate to manifest all of that energy. And so it's a really powerful gate. It's not one that I was just saying earlier before we got on, I don't know a lot of people with this gate. I don't have a lot of personal experience with this gate. I don't have it in my chart. But everything I've read and people I've talked to, like this gathering together is really about resources and making sure that the tribe is well resourced and is coming together to produce great things, right? To do better together, right? And I look at then I think about that energy like given where we are in the at the moment on the planet, and it makes me like think, oh, this is good, maybe this is nice, that maybe this is a time where we can all kind of feel that energy of pulling together, like rowing together in the same boat in the same direction. Maybe that's what can come up for us these next few days.
It's I was looking at Brianna Magnuson's work with the totems, and the totem for this was the gorilla. And it's sort of like thinking about the troop and how if you've got a really solid, healthy silverback male, you've got a solid, healthy troop. And then it can go totally the other way. And seeing that in our own systems is like where the hierarchies work when they're healthy. And then, but there's so many unhealthy hierarchies going on right now that it's making it really difficult for people to pull together like that
Yeah.
and to get together and not have all of this divisiveness going on.
Well, I think one of the things that's going to aid this is this Mercury moving into Cancer right as this gate starts on the 8th, because we're moving from this mental to this emotional state. And I think of for myself, like I can feel these emotions building up these days, and in this frustrated state. But often what happens when the lid comes off, then things flow and they become more fluid. And I also think about this being this time that we do move together, are able to move together as one because of this movement into a more emotional space. And Cancer is about gathering all together and creating that container. That's where a space I like to work. So I already feel the ease of that coming in just these few days before.
Yeah, that's true. And like if we look at the gene keys, the shadow is dominance,
Yeah.
right? This is where the gorilla metaphor in Brynja's work shows up, right? Like, and we definitely all recognize this moment of extreme dominance that we're in, right? And so I agree. Like this, the gift is synergy, and the city is communion, and that is the trajectory, right? This is how we are moving and what we are moving towards, I think, as a species. But we're still really deeply in this shadow space, right? And so as much as I just said before, like it's maybe a great time to experience this coming together, this gathering together, this sharing of resources, right? It's also very likely that we're going to experience either within ourselves or around us this desire to dominate, right? And we even talked about it a little bit in 35. Like part of what I was impatient with other people was I just wanted them to do what I wanted them to do. Right?
Right.
So maybe I was already feeling this dominance energy showing up.
But that is the lower density way we gather. We come together and someone dominates, right? And that's historical. It's and the group comes together, a leader comes up, and either they're using the right source of power or they're using power over. So at that lower density, we are going to feel that. And I wonder, as we're talking, if over the course of the 5.5 days, the story of this might be coming in with that, I just want to tell you what to do and just do it feeling, which we're all feeling right now, and then moving into this more compassionate place of how do we collaborate and pool our resources and create something really beautiful.
It's interesting because like in the Gene Keys, Richard Rudd talks about like this coming out of it, like initially from a way to get over past scarcity, like the coming together so that if we're all participating in providing for ourselves, we have a much better chance than if we're all by ourselves. But then there's this competition that rises, and this sort of that need to like to push your power over
Mhm.
so that you can get ahead. And that winds up with this sort of like victim and villain aspect. And that made me think about there's a model called the drama triangle. And in it, like on the three angles, there's the villain, there's the rescuer, and there's the victim. And the thing is that any one of us can be one of those things. And if even in the same circumstance, like I could be trying to rescue one of you from a situation, and you might feel victimized by me because you're going like, I don't want or need your help. So in that I'm thinking I'm being the rescuer and you're seeing me as the villain. And so it is that sort of ability to look and see sort of where am I in this little drama that's going on? Am I being one of these victim, villain, or rescuer? And is there something else I can do here? And there's another person came along and did a reversed triangle, and he moved the villain to a challenger, which is a very positive thing. The rescuer to a coach, which is someone that helps empower, and the victim to a creative. Like I'm gonna think of a different way of approaching what's going on for me. So I think like just being able to look at what's happening right now if I'm feeling like a victim, because most of us don't notice that we're feeling like the villain, but it is just like if I'm feeling like a victim, is what maybe could I do for myself? And if I'm maybe getting in a position of going like, oh, I need to push somebody down or out of the way to get what I want, what am I doing here? Why am I doing that?
Yeah, I really like that, Lois. It makes me think about, again, this dominance thing. And when you said this earlier, you talked about this competition, this competitiveness, right? And that made me really think about this gate 45 from its physical space in our body, right? It's a throat gate, but the connector is right to the heart, right? And the heart is our will center. And there is can be a lot of competition in this space. And again, this is our most heavily conditioned center, right? So this idea about victimhood and even villain is also from the same heart will center, right? Like you can push your will on others in a really villainous way, right? And so this is very much part of I think what this energy can be like this week. And one of the things that Richard Rudd had written that just caught my eye when I was reading the 64 Ways was he's like, many don't want to own their own fear, so they externalize it as dominance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's something I would say to folks, as if you're contemplating things this week, right, and you're seeing dominance in the world, either in yourself or in others, right? Like really looking more deeply into the fear behind it and trying to really reckon with it in some way, because that is the gift, right? The gift is then if we can deal with our fear, if we can drop the need to dominate, right, then we can be in this synergistic space, right? Then we can be more heart centered and heart led with the other.
Let me talk to you about a Gemmo for this time. I was really stumped on this one because it feels to me there's a lot of things that could be going on. And I think I'm seeing this more as we go in. It really depends as we go deeper into these gates, it really depends what your state is. How are you coming in to this particular gate? And so I want to offer up two extracts. And one is if you are coming in feeling impatient, frustrated, dammed up, sort of like what Christine and I were describing at the beginning, I think Black Honeysuckle would be a really beautiful extract to start out with. And I think it's going to shift. And then if you find yourself feeling more open and being able to see yourself in all three of those roles that Lois so beautifully described, then Almond might be a really wonderful extract that will hold you there. Because heaven knows we're going to need to be held there as we move into gate 12. So we'll need some extra support. So maybe Black Honeysuckle, if you're feeling stuck and frustrated and maybe even a little oppressed by all the dominance, and Almond, if you start to be able to see things from a broader perspective.
I love that. We also had Almond for 35. I wish I had paid attention and tried it.
Well, you still have a few days.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think these flow in and they're all throw energy. So thinking about that and that need to vocalize what we're feeling.
Yeah. Well, and this is the voice of gate 35. Like there's 11 gates in the throat center in human design. Every gate has a voice. And the voice and that really comes up. Like you can often hear people that have these activations use these they start their sentences this way, right? And so the voice of gate 45 is I have, right? It's this resource based I have, we have, right? This thing. And so, just paying attention to that, just when you are using that language, it can also be interesting to see. Maybe it's going to show up more for us this week when we feel and say those words.
I have to comment on this on the voice because I was thinking the other day, I was hearing myself and I realized how much more emphatic and my voice sounds different to me and not as familiar. And I also wonder because Gemini does rule the voice, and has this been going on all Gemini season? Very likely. But I would have loved to have noted the different tones to the voice, but it definitely does not sound like what I would say sounds like my voice. It sounds like there's a lot more energy behind it and push.
That feels like a perfect segue to me in gate 12.
Yes, it does, Lois.
Lois is over gate 45. Okay. Yeah, so it's true. Gate 12 is also another throat gate, right? So as gate 45 was tribal, we're now in gate 12, we're going to be in an individual energy, right? It's a very individual energy. And its voice is I act, right? So this is how it is going to maybe be expressed in the world. But however, it is the gate of caution, right? So it's this weird, strange little gate that is in our manifestation center. It is here to make things happen in the world, and yet it does it through this sense of caution, and or in the I Ching it's standstill, right? And so it really is this space of like lots of individual creative knowing, but also being hesitant or thoughtful about correct timing, right? And it isn't, it's connected directly to our solar plexus. It's connected through gate 22, which is an emotional center. And so gate 12 is very much an in the mood energy, right? You're either in the mood to be social, which is what this gate is all about, to be social in the world, or not, right? And so people who have it, my experience has been they very much, reflect that. They are very moody. People would just call them moody, right? That's the word we use for these folks. And it isn't anything more than they are, if they're aligned, they're essentially aligning themselves to act when the mood is correct for them, when they're in the right place in their emotional wave. And so yeah, I just think again, it's another one of these throat gates, right? It's another place to be paying attention to this push to make things happen. I think these energies are going to have some of that behind them. Whether or not there's fuel there for it, I think there's going to be this sense that we should be busy doing something. A little bit like we were talking in the beginning, Lauren, like got all these things we want to do, right? Like that kind of thing, but we're not really sure how to do it, right? Like that could be the feeling we're getting this stretch of time. Yeah, I don't know. Does that bring up anything for anyone?
Well, it was when I said this being a segue, it was when Lauren said about it doesn't sound like my voice, it sounds different. And when I was looking at the Gene Keys work here, and he's talking about, like, yes, there's the timing in what you say, but there's also the how you say it and where is it coming from? Because and I think we've talked about this before, is if it's coming from a heartfelt place, you can say quite difficult things and have people be able to hear you. But if you say, you could say something like, it would be like reading a beautifully written greeting card about how much you love someone. And if you just say it from a voice, doesn't matter how beautiful the words are, it's going to fall flat. Mm-hmm. And so that being able to pay attention to that, like, where is what I'm saying coming from? What does it feel like? And what does it feel like for the person that's receiving it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Spending a little time with the I Ching, I looked at Hilary Barrett's, and then I have another quite old volume that illustrated I Ching by R.L. Wing. This is kind of a cool version as well. And this discussion of, finding your place in these 5.5 days and finding comfort in all that's not moving, and to be able to figure out what work can you do when nothing's working. And although that sounds like a question I've been asking myself for the last couple, like, okay, that's not working, what else could I do? I feel like I keep doing that. Maybe this is the time we can go back and actually get those things done. But one of the warnings that comes is that relationships will be challenging. And Lois, I think that's what you're bringing up, is in the voice and the language and where we're speaking from. And I think, as you said, that really resonates. This voice that I'm using doesn't feel like it's coming from my heart necessarily. It definitely is coming from, I'm not sure where we want to describe it, but probably my head. Like, you should be over that by now. So when I was thinking about Gemmos, I actually feel like we need something to soften that during this time. And so I would look again. I looked at lilac recently, and I think lilac is really good at helping sort through what's toxic. And I think that's part of this time period, is seeing through what's going on and just staying focused on your own inner strength, your own inner reliance. And And I would certainly, in a time that feels, if it's feeling blocked or standstill to you, to be really careful that you're not pushing yourself in other ways.
Yeah, and also I agree with all that. This is an interesting channel, and because of what's going on in the nodes at the same exact time, like as we walk into this gate 12, the nodes shift in human design. They're still going to be in Pisces for astrology people. That's not changing, but the flavor in human design is changing. And the gate 22 is the south node, or the north node, I'm sorry, is the north node at that time, which means that this gate 12 and that gate 22 are coming together, and the whole planet is going to have this channel lit up, right? So it's not going to be just the gate in us, it's going to be the full channel. And so this is the design of a social being, right? Like I just said, it's an individual energy that's looking to be social in the world or not, right? This is very much an emotional channel. Like you may not feel like you want to be with people, right? So just paying attention, like, are you feeling social? Are you not? Are you feeling open to the other or not, right? This is the gate of openness. And so I just think, I don't know, there's something about this channel and this time that I think is really, I can't quite voice what it is I feel about this gate 12, and maybe that just plays into all of this muddled thing that I have going on with my own emotional center being lit up right now. I don't have as much clarity, and this may also be true for other people too, right? Like all of a sudden, if you don't normally have an emotional solar plexus lit up in you, you'll have it. You might not find so much, you may not feel as clear as you may generally. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel muddled.
Yeah, but I think you're feeling the energy of that particular gate, Christine. And um, I mean, I have to say, I cheated and I peeked ahead to gate 15 because I was like, please tell me there's hope on the other side of this. And it does look like there's going to be some movement as we come into gate 15. But we have to
There,
go the 11 days.
11 days. There was one thing about this gate that was kind of fascinating. Sort of like in this, I mean, what we're doing here and the people who would be listening to us is we're all people who have been working on ourselves and trying to make our place in the world better so that we can be a better service in the world. And the shadow for this is vanity. And when I was looking into Richard Rudd's work here, he brought up something related to this growth bias that people like us have, and we can be vain about that. We can be a little elitist about it, and it's something that just happens, and it also leads back to that frustration about, and yeah, we know these things and other people just don't get it, and so they're not doing as well somehow. And just like to watch that in ourselves, it's like when we can start feeling a little superior. And like he also talks about this vanity one, it tracks us like practically right to the end because the vanity doesn't go away, even as we grow through the levels. And so it's almost like a test for like, so yes, you're growing, and how great are you?
I like
Little
that.
humble.
Always a good reminder.
Yeah.
I think that the other thing to know about this channel too, or in this that we will have lit up in us, is it is a manifestation channel. It's a manifester channel, right? And so it's an energy that if you have it in your design, you may or may not be a manifester, but it is a channel that creates manifester or types in the human design system, right? And so there is this underlying energy of wanting peace, right? And freedom, right? This deep need to be free. And so that's another thing that I would pay attention to in this time, in that period, is where are you feeling oppressed, right? Where are you feeling unfree? And if it's already showing up for you now, it may be exacerbated during that time, right? But so just paying attention to that. And it makes me wonder if the whole planet has it going on, if maybe that may be a pressure point where the people rise up a little bit, right? And say, no more. I feel unfree. We're not taking it, right? Because it is a very, this manifestor energy, it can get very angry if it is feeling hemmed in or if it's feeling unable to do what it wants to do. So it may be something we could all be mindful of in ourselves and others.
Yeah. And use it for the greater good rather than causing more trouble. Unless we're making good trouble.
Yeah.
Right. Feel complete?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, just be careful. I'm not rushing.
Yeah. No, I didn't feel like you were last time either. I was just like, oh, I wasn't ready.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you
Yeah.
for being with us. We hope you'll see you next time.